It's been 1 year since I've been to locals. So last week went pretty well. I ended the tournament with a X1 record. Although it was on a technicality, it was still nice for my first locals in a year to technically get prizing. However, this week, I want to actually get there. I don't want to get there on a technicality or a die roll or anything like that. I want to go legitimately X1 and get into prizing fully. And to do that, I think I need to bring a better deck. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm switching. I actually still plan on playing Trap Burning Abyss, but I have made some changes to the deck. I've gotten some new cards that I needed to add, and I've changed the deck list. I've also switched up the side and extra deck in particular. Those I think really needed some work. Also today I plan on focusing on getting more of the action, the actual gameplay happening at the locals. Because the whole point of this series is to return to locals, and I want you guys to experience that with me too. Even if it's through video form, I think it'd be really fun. So with all that said, let's get straight into the deck profile. So this is the Trap Burning Abyss deck I'm going to be bringing today. It's the same idea, but just with some slight modifications to improve it. So let's get into it. So the first thing I'm going to show off is the Burning Abyss lineup. We have 3 Graph, and the first change is showing up here. We're actually on 3 Farfa. I was able to find a third one at the locals, and having that extra Burning Abyss name is going to be really nice. I'm also on 2 Seer, and unfortunately I'm still on 2 Skarm because I wasn't able to find a third one, but I still wanted the extra BA name he would provide, so I threw in a Barbar. And I also have the same one-ofs in Calcab, Libic, and Alec. This is a pretty good Burning Abyss amount and lineup. I really wanted to increase the Burning Abyss amount because I feel like relying too much on Tour Guide makes him too susceptible to hand traps. And having 2 monsters on board and going into Verte is my strongest going first play. So I really wanted to emphasize that. Now for the Fiend support, I'm still on 3 Tour Guide, and as much as I tried to avoid it, I did 3 Rhino. I missed him so much during my locals. He is a much stronger normal summon than Tour Guide because he cannot be hit by Ash. Well, he can, but his normal summon isn't hit by Ash, and he allows me to spam out some BAs and maybe go for some bigger plays. And of course, I'm still running the King Backjack. Of course, our main win con, we're still on the Much Dragoon package because it's broken. Still 1 Call by the Grave. Those are still our only spells. This isn't a very spell-heavy deck. For the normal trap lineup, we're still on 3 Trap Chick, 3 IDP, 3 Dynamiscus, 3 Torrential, and 3 Fiend Griefing. I wasn't able to get any of the normal traps I didn't have, and I really like all of these. So I kept things pretty much where they're at. The last 3 cards of the deck are actually the 3 Solemn Strikes we have. We took out the Floodgates. Playing power one-ofs like that just didn't mesh well with this deck or my personal taste or playstyle. It also allowed me to thin out the deck a bit. I was able to go get the deck down to 44 while still having a good Burning Abyss engine. Now we're going to take a look at the extra deck. And of course, the most important thing in Burning Abyss in the extra deck is going to be your Xyz. For the in-engine Burning Abyss Xyz, we're on 2 Dante and 1 Beatrice, and our generics, we're still on Nightmare Shard because this card is really good. This is like Borbo, but for Burning Abyss. It's really nice. And I was able to get Downward Magician to make for bigger Zeus plays. Doing this onto Dante with his 2 materials and then going into Zeus with the 2 play Zeus is really, really nice. The next part of the extra deck is going to be the Link monsters. We're still on Link Spire, but we also threw in Nightmare Phoenix. We're also still on Verte, Cherubini, IP, and Unicorn. Now, Gravity Controller did absolutely nothing for me. And I also never found myself able to go into Boral Sword. And because we now have a Phoenix and a Link Spider, and we have plenty of Darks, 3 attributes, I'm really comfortable going into Access Code now. And I actually had several games where I missed him, so I kind of made the extra deck where I was able to go into him, because I can't express how much I missed having this guy. This guy is so good. He's another win con. I love him. And then the last part of the extra deck hasn't changed a bit. We're still on Purple Dante, and we're still on Dragoon. Anytime I went into these 2, I won the game. Now the last part of the deck is going to be the side deck, and we are playing 3 Nibirus and 3 Lancios as our only monsters. I wanted to play monsters that just shut down whole turns, and while Droll and Lockbird did that, today I'm actually going to experiment with replacing Droll with Solemn Judgment in the side deck. This was not really live during Game 1, because I really need to go first for this to be relevant. So in games where I'm going first in game 2 and 3, I'm going to throw this in to protect myself against back row removal. And of course, the last bits are going to still be the Feather Duster and 2 Cosmic Cyclones, and the Dark Ruler no more, because they're just amazing cards. And again, I wanted to play cards that just ended entire turns. And Cyclone isn't necessarily that, but Feather Duster is, and Dark Ruler, and all of these cards are, except for this is more for protecting myself. So that's the last of my Burning Abyss deck profile. I'm very excited to see what these changes are going to bring at this Locals. I'm really excited in particular with the improved extra deck and the bigger amount of Burning Abyss monsters. I think if I also just focus my strategy on getting out Verte when going first, and when going second just turboing into Zeus, I think I'll be able to win just off that because my trap cards are so strong. So, with that said, let's go into the tournament. So I'm super excited to see how these changes affect our performance at the Locals. I think the biggest change that's going to give us the most wins is going to be more Burning Abyss monsters being able to be specialed and turboing into Dragoon, because every time I made that card, I won. Every time. Also, more Burning Abyss means getting into Zeus easier, and having Downward means a bigger Zeus. So I think if I just switch my strategy to turboing into my really broken monsters and then protecting them with back row, that's going to get me the victories. So, with all that said, I'm going to go play more Skyrim. Hey, little update. I'm at the Locals right now, and I was actually able to get a Karma Cut, and I got 3 gold Farfas and 3 gold Skarms. So I'll do an updated list probably when I get back after the Locals, will you? So I'm probably just going to throw these in, not change much else. That's where I'm at. Yeah. So that didn't go how I wanted. We ended up finishing the tournament with X1, when my goal was to go X2. It's kind of unfortunate, but looking back on it, I think there's things I could have done differently to get to the goal I wanted. So with that said, let's take a look at what happened at the tournament. So round 1, I'm going against Dragoonities, and I opt to go first. On my turn, I normal summon Tour Guide, I'm able to resolve it, and I end up with Verde, Dragoon, set 2, and I end up having a Farfa in hand. So a pretty threatening board. Turn 2, he just scoops. Now the thing is, I already know what he's playing because I've known the guy for a long time. So I kind of use that to my advantage when I side. Game 2, he opts to go first. He's able to combo off, and he actually makes Crystal Wing before his 5th summon, which I didn't know Dragoonity could do that. He ends with Amorphage Goliath, and he has the red Amorphage in the Spell and Trap Zone that turns off your spells, which that's not that big of a deal for me. Except on my turn, I draw Dark Ruler. We'll go game 3.
Okay, yeah.
I topped that.
You can't use it. And the beer in here too, that's crazy.
Unfortunately, I'm not able to do anything with that, so I scoop. Game 3, I end up opting to go first. I'm able to get 2 BAs out, make them into Verte, and get a Dragoon out with 2 sets. On his turn, he Gamma Seals my Dragoon. That sucked, man. But he ends up normaling Zephyrus, killing my Verde, and then passing. I guess he bricked, or he doesn't have any plays or anything like that. So during the end phase, I trap check for Fiend Briefing. I'm hoping to get my ball rolling while also being able to interrupt whatever plays he does, because Dragoonities have a lot of plays in Grave. So in my turn, all I can do is normal Rhino, kill Zephyrus with Gamma Seal, and go direct with Rhino. Gamma Seal is kind of stopping me from having my BAs out, because otherwise they're just going to die and blow up, so I'm actually kind of in a rough position here. I'm not able to do much. So on his turn, he starts off setting up his combo, but I try to interrupt by using Fiend Briefing to get his Zephyrus out of the grave. And he responds with Red Reboot. Man opened everything against me, dude. So I set IDP off of Red Reboot. He proceeds to combo, ends on Crystal Ring, Romulus, and Legatus. So at this point, all I have are my 2 sets to deal with his Crystal Ring and 2 kind of just bodies on board. So I proceed to use my traps. I end up getting my ball rolling with Fiend Briefing, IDP out some of his stuff, and I end up comboing, and I'm able to go into Dante and Limich. I'm able to clear his board but not quite game him. However, I'm able to go into Zeus. So I pass turn on Zeus. He has 1 card in hand. He goes for a normal summon. I make sure he has nothing in his grave that can activate, and I shotgun the Zeus on his normal. And then that sealed me the game. Next turn, I go attack directly. So we took round 1. So at this point, after that round, I'm kind of noticing if my Dragoon gets outed, it's a really uphill battle, and it can be tough for me to come back from that. Fortunately, I was able to, but it can still be a nightmare. Also, if they have answers to my traps and my Dragoon, that makes it even harder. So, with that in mind, we went into round 2. Round 2, I'm up against Dragon Links. Going first, I don't really know what he's playing, so I just use my regular 2 BAs to make Verde and Dragoon. He chains Phantasmate to my Verde Anaconda summon. And I think I set 1 and pass. During turn 2, he starts comboing, and when he gets to Romulus, he's able to chain block with it, but I use my back row, which is Paleo Dynamiscus. I forgot that Phantasmate blocks targeting. I was under the impression he blocked destruction, and that's my fault for not reading the card. That's why I prioritized Dynamiscus over Dragoon, because I only have 1 card in hand. Fortunately, he blocks it with Phantasmate. He's able to combo off, and he just cleans the board with Boral Sword. Game 2, I'm going first. I'm able to resolve Tour Guide fully, so I set up the IP Dante with some back row board. Turn 2, he normal summons the little baby black metal dragon, goes into Striker Dragon, and I have Lancia. So that kind of shuts off his plan with Red MD. He's already used his normal summon, he can't banish. I'm in a really good position. I'm also able to use IP and Dante, make Unicorn, get rid of his Striker Dragon, so now he has nothing on board. Unfortunately, he's actually able to extend with Dragoonities, so I guess I'm dueling 2 Dragoonity decks this tournament. I have a strike that's able to interrupt, and he uses World Legacy Guard Dragon to make Striker, and he ends up passing on that. So I make the Dragoon, and I use its effect to kill his Striker Dragon and burn him for 1,000. So I just poke for 35, and I end up passing. Now during his standby phase, I end up Lanciaing, and he responds with Gamma. And that's unfortunate. I already know he's playing Gamma from an earlier interaction, and I shouldn't have shotgunned the Lancia like that. I should have waited till he gets a body on board. And that ended up costing me the game, because he's able to combo off and play through interrupts and kill him because they can do that. So to beat Dragon Link, you really need to shut off their turn, and I whiffed a chance at doing that because I already shut off 1 turn with Lancia. There's no reason to expect me not to be able to do it again. That's unfortunate, but we took our first loss, and we moved on to round 3. Round 3, we're up against Invoke Dogmatica. And I win the die roll for a 3rd time at the tournament. The dice are liking me today. So I go first, and I open Red Eyes Fusion. I just use Red Eyes Fusion, make Dragoon, set some back row, pass. And what does he do? He normals Droll. Kind of surprised me. I assume this means he has kind of a rough starting hand. He turns it into Artemis, and he specials Ecclesia. Doesn't use the effect, though. And he uses Ecclesia and Artemis to go into Verde. I have no clue what he's playing. I'm assuming it's Shadal or something. Then he can't resolve Verde. And that's also weird. So he's not playing Dragoon, he's not playing Shadal, so I have no idea what this guy's playing. Then he specials Dogmatica Ashian, which I haven't really seen before. So I'm totally confused. He sets 2 and then passes. On my turn, I'm able to use Dragoon to clear his board and then poke for big damage. So on his turn, he summons Ecclesia and attempts to search. We exchange Solemns, and he resolves the Ecclesia. He searches Fleur-de-Lis. He then does another weird thing. He activates a field spell called Summon Breaker, which is kind of like Summon Limit. It limits players to 3 summons. That's something I don't think I want to deal with, so I use Dragoon to get rid of that. Off of Dragoon, I get rid of a Backjack in my hand, and I use Backjack to set Fiend Briefing. He then summons Fleur-de-Lis, turns off my Dragoon, he flips Punishment and targets my Dragoon. And I'm even more confused because he sends Underworld Goddess. So I have no idea what this guy's playing, I'm just going to assume it's pure Dogmatica at this point. I end up using Griefing on a Farfa to get rid of his Fleur-de-Lis so I can live to play the next turn. So he attacks me, but I'm able to survive. The next turn, I'm able to get out Rhino and 2 BAs and actually make Nightmare Shark. And that just gets me game right there. So game 2, I really don't know what he's playing completely. I side in, I think, some back row hate, but that's it, because clearly it's a back row grind style deck. I'm kind of scared of what's about to happen. So he opts to go first. He does a regular Alistair combo, and he ends on Makaba, Cross Sheep, and Souls, I think. Unfortunately, I open Fusion again. So I just shotgun it, make Dragoon. He super polys away my Dragoon and his souls, and makes Starving Venom. I set 2 back row with the hope that they're strong enough to help me survive. On his turn, he just attempts to Alistair with a Selene combo, but I'm able to interrupt that with my Strike and my IDP. He just attacks with big damage and passes. So it's my turn, it all relies on this. I normal my Rhino, which I'm pretty sure is my only card I have playable, and he punishments it. Kinda seals the game for him. We scoop and go to game 3. So game 3, I go first. I use 2 Burning Abyss to make my Dragoon board, and Skarm Search's Tour Guide at the end. His turn, he opens with Super Poly again. He makes Starving Venom, normal summons Alistair. I'm down 2k, game's on board, and I scoop. Unfortunately, with a game like that, you can't really do much against stuff like Super Poly. However, I probably could have played a little better. I think game 3, since I'd already seen Super Poly, I probably shouldn't have gone for the Verde play and tried to go for the Dante play. I'm not sure if I had it or not, but having a Dark and a Light forces him to use some of his resources if he wants to resolve Super Poly. It makes it more of a risky play. Would it have mattered and would it have won me the game? I don't know. It definitely would have required more thinking for him, which could have changed the way things happened. But with that said, our record was X2, and we weren't able to get into prizing today. Really sucks that I didn't reach my goal, but sometimes that happens. I think my big takeaway from this tournament is, I don't think I'm playing Burning Abyss right. I think I turbo into Dragoon way too often, especially since it went really well at the first tournament. So for the next tournament, I'm actually thinking about playing something other than Burning Abyss. Or if I do play Burning Abyss again, I'm gonna have to drastically change the way I play, maybe take Dragoon out of my deck so I don't keep just turboing out into it and wasting potentially stronger boards. I'm not really sure what the future holds right now or the direction I want to take my deck. Hopefully I'll know by the time we do the next episode, but all we can do is go up for here, so thanks for sticking around, guys. You have a great day.